United States Department of State Diplomatic Security Office, Rafika Ahmad, Special Agent in Charge, Atlanta Regional Office, U.S. Department of Labor Office of Inspector General, Henry DeBlock, Savannah Area Port Director, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, George Will Clark, Supervisory Senior Resident Agent, FBI, Savannah, John Britt, Savannah Jacksonville Team Leader, U.S. Postal Inspection Service, U.S. Marshal David Lyons, who's here in the Savannah office, Major Fred Cole, Chief Deputy, Coffee County Sheriff's Office, Captain Marcus Dunlop of the Coffee County Sheriff's Office, and also from the United States Attorney's Office, Xavier Cunningham, who's our Asset Forfeiture Unit Chief, and Kelly Wiggins, who's our Victim Witness Specialist. I hope I haven't missed anyone. So we asked you here today because we wanted to talk to you and announce the unsealing of a federal indictment that names 24 people on charges including forced labor, mail fraud, conspiracy to engage in forced labor, conspiracy to commit mail fraud, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and tampering with a witness. All of these are federal felony charges. Federal grand jury in the Southern District of Georgia returned this 54-count indictment in October, and it was unsealed last week. The nature of the charges in this indictment, which is USA v. Patricio et al., alleges that the defendants were members and associates of the Patricio transnational criminal organization, whose members and associates engaged in mail fraud, international forced labor trafficking, and money laundering, among other crimes. This organization operated in the Southern District of Georgia in counties including Atkinson, Bacon, Coffee, Tattenall, Toombs, Ware, and in the Middle District of Georgia, the Northern District of Georgia, the Middle District of Florida, the Southern District of Texas, in Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras, and elsewhere. The purpose of this criminal organization was to make money from the illegal activities, including mail fraud, forced labor, money laundering. The indictment alleges that this organization fraudulently used the United States H-2A visa program to smuggle foreign nationals from Central America into the United States under the pretext of being agricultural workers. The indictment alleges that the organization sought to make money by exploiting these foreign workers and then laundering the illegal proceeds. The H-2 visa program is a program instituted by the United States so that foreign nationals generally cannot work in the United States lawfully without prior authorization from the United States government. However, they can obtain work authorization in the United States if a qualifying sponsor, an employer based in the U.S., petitions the United States government for a non-immigrant visa on their behalf. Non-immigrant visas that authorizes foreign nationals to work for agriculture employers called an H-2A visa. Under the lawful program, farmers must advertise the jobs to U.S. citizens, but if unable to find U.S. citizens to perform the agricultural jobs, the farmers or their agents may seek foreign nationals to come to the U.S. for a period of time to work and live. After the time period expires, the workers must return to their home country. The program has rules that employers must follow, including some of the basics. The workers must be paid in accordance with U.S. labor standards, typically $10 to $12 an hour. Workers must be provided suitable housing for free. Workers must be provided free transportation to and from the work sites, and workers must be provided access to food and water. This indictment alleges that this organization operated from at least 2015 until now. As alleged in the indictment, the organization mailed multiple false petitions to the U.S. government seeking more than 71,000 foreign workers to enter the U.S. to work for agriculture employers, and fraudulently caused the U.S. to issue tens of thousands of H-2A visas to foreign nationals. This organization is alleged to have made more than $200 million from this illegal scheme. The 50-page indictment alleges that the organization exploited these workers by, among other things, confiscating the workers' passports to prevent them from leaving or contacting law enforcement, underpayment, if they were paid at all, or sometimes paid pennies on the dollar for the work that they performed, using violence and threats of violence to control the workers, including threatening workers with a gun. At least one victim was raped, escaped, and then was kidnapped and almost murdered. Foreign nationals were traded and sold to other co-conspirators to work at different locations. At least one worker died of a heat stroke. Conspirators threatened to harm victims' families in their home countries if the workers did not comply with their demands. Some of the workers were forced to live in cramped, dirty quarters with little or no food and limited plumbing. Some victims were confined and restrained with an electric fence. And almost all of the workers were forced to unlawfully pay for the housing and transportation, and because they were paid very little, if any, were bonded with debt. The more they worked, the greater the debt. The allegations detailed in the indictment are modern-day slavery. The exploitation of humans for greed, and sadly, is alleged to have taken place in our jurisdiction. And that's why we're here. On Wednesday, November the 17th, more than 200 federal agents from around the United States, including HSI, FBI, Department of Labor, Department of State and local law enforcement, converged in the Southern District of Georgia. And while many of us were asleep at 6 a.m., this team was hard at work conducting one of the largest, if not the largest, law enforcement operation of this kind in history. They sought to arrest the 24 defendants named in the indictment. They executed more than 20 federal search warrants in 3 jurisdictions. They executed more than a dozen seizure warrants at financial institutions to seize ill-gotten gains. This has been a victim-centered approach to this investigation. The agencies involved in this major operation took a victim-centered approach with a team that included federal, state, and local law enforcement, victim witness specialists, translators, medical professionals, counselors trained in human trafficking trauma, members of nonprofit organizations to help with food, shelter, and clothing. Victim service providers bring with them a diversity of specialized service skills, social resources, cultural competence, and trauma-informed perspective to provide critical support to these survivors. Another reason we stand before you today is we know there are thousands of foreign nationals in the United States right now who were promised lawful employment in the agricultural business under H-2A, and sadly, this promise turned into a nightmare, and we are here to help, and we need your help. We ask that you call the Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888. I'm going to repeat that number. This is the Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888. If you have been exploited or you know someone who is exploited by human trafficking, exploitation comes in many forms. Our goal is to stop the exploitation of the victims of human trafficking. Call, for instance, if you had to pay to apply to come to the U.S. for H-2A work.
All right. Didn't want to give literally just play like that because I don't know. YouTube is funny like that. All right. So let's just get down to the story. It's insane, man. It's really insane what's going on. Operation Bloomin' Onion, federal indictment reveals modern-day slavery in Georgia. According to a newly unsealed indictment revealed last week by acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Georgia, David H. Estes, 24 people conspired for 3 years to smuggle Mexican and Central American workers and force them to work in brutal conditions on farms located across the world, including the southern, middle, and northern regions of Georgia. At a news conference at the K building, Estes Wood at a podium alongside the federal law enforcement officers who were involved in cracking the case. The 54-count indictment titled USA versus Pacheco et al. Discloses a federal investigation into what Estes called modern-day slavery. After receiving a tip from a trafficking hotline in November 2018, federal law enforcement officers from the Homeland Security Investigations, the U.S. Department of Labor, U.S. Department of State's Diplomatic Security Service, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation started investigating multiple agricultural organizations registered under the agent Maria Letizia Pacheco. Officers discovered that since 2015, these organizations conspired together to bring more than 100 foreign workers into the United States, exploit them, and imprison them under inhumane conditions. The multi-agency investigation came to a head held at 6 a.m. November 17th, when 200 federal officers executed more than 20 search warrants across 3 jurisdictions and performed a dozen seizure warrants of financial institutions. Estes called Operation Bloomin' Onion the largest organization of law enforcement to go after the particular offense ever. The trafficked workers, primarily labeled on onion farms, digging with their bare hands and paid only 20 cents for each bucket. The conspirators forced the workers, despite making very little, to pay for the transportation, food, and housing. According to the indictment, the network of organizations use the H-2A program, which allows U.S. employers or U.S. agents who meet specific regulatory requirements to bring foreign nationals to the United States to fill temporary agricultural jobs. When the workers arrived, they were placed under the guise of contract agricultural laborers. Estes noted that the investigation may reveal the fraud as part of a larger conspiracy and could illuminate a larger issue, the misuse of H-2A program en masse. I think that this investigation has identified some things that need to be looked at, said Estes. In the indictment, Patricio is accused of mailing multiple false petitions to the United States government, seeking over 71,000 foreign workers to enter the United States to work for an agricultural employer, and fraudulently cause the United States to issue thousands of H-2A visas to foreign nationals. Patricio is a U.S. citizen according to the indictment and served as the registered agent for 10 individual agricultural companies in Georgia, which, with those companies since dissolved, Patricio is one of the 24 conspirators who faces charges of forced labor, which could result in life in prison. As a result, other charges that could result each up to 20 years in prison, along with monetary fines. There could be others victimized by the fraud committed by conspiring organizations under H-2A programs, said Estes. The investigation is ongoing. The 24 conspirators reaped more than $200 million over 3 years from the illegal scheme, which involved laundering the funds through cash purchases of land, homes, vehicles, and businesses, and through cash purchases of cashier checks. Millions of dollars were funneled through a casino. Farmers who own properties in the Southern District of Georgia, specifically in Atkinson, Bacon, Coffee, Tattnall, Toombs, and Ware counties, paid the conspirators to provide contract laborers, according to the indictment. I bet you these people could be Republican. I bet you. The indictment stated that if a worker stepped out of line, the conspirators threatened them with guns, torture, and deportation. The conspirators kept the workers in cramped, unsanitary quarters and fence work camps, like with little or no food, limiting plumbing, and without safe water. Wow, this like Nazi Germany internment camps. The conspirators are accused of raping, kidnapping, and threatening or attempted to kill some of the workers or their families. In many cases, sold or traded the workers to other conspirators as a result of workplace conditions. At least two workers died, according to the indictment. The conspirators tried to keep their operation running, even as federal authorities closed in. 3 conspirators in late 2019 attempted to intimidate and persuade the witness to lie to a federal grand jury and deny any knowledge of the illegal activities of the conspiring organizations. It's very concerning, said Estes. Obviously, we have victims here, so we're very concerned about moving out and making sure that we are able to dot all the I's and cross all the T's, provide safety for the victims as soon as possible, while at the same time maintaining our investigation as such that we can eventually prosecute and convict these individuals. Damn, man. Just to think what they could get away with. They basically had, plantations just on an onion farm. That's it. Imagine when things really go to pot. Imagine that, when things really go south, what they're going to do, especially the people of color. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Have you heard about this before? This Operation Bloomin' Onion? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Everything you want to know about this channel is in the description box. Later.